The morning sky above New York shattered into brilliant fragments of light as the first ships broke through the cloud cover. Their massive hulls, gleaming with an iridescent sheen unknown to human engineering, cast mile-wide shadows across the city's famous skyline. Traffic stopped. Phones raised skyward. Millions held their breath as humanity's first official galactic assessment began. Primitive infrastructure. Elder Cathera's voice crackled through the global broadcasting system, hijacking every communication channel with casual ease. The Arxians' multiple voice boxes created an unsettling harmony of tones that made humans instinctively wince. Your species still relies on combustion engines and basic fusion containment. How quaint. In the United Nations emergency session, Secretary General Marcus Rodriguez gripped the podium until his knuckles whitened. We welcome the Galactic Council's assessment team and look forward to demonstrating Earth's readiness for full membership. A chorus of crystalline laughter echoed through the chambers. The Arxian delegation, their translucent bodies pulsing with bioluminescent patterns, didn't bother hiding their amusement. Elder Cathera, distinguished by the complex swirls of light beneath their outer membrane, floated forward. Your optimism is charming, Secretary General, but let us be direct. Your world has barely achieved rudimentary space travel. Your energy systems are inefficient. Your cities still bear the scars of fossil fuel dependence. By Council standards, you are a Class 3 developing world at best. Dr. Amanda Reynolds watched the exchange from her position among the scientific advisors, her teeth clenched. Years of research at the Quantum Archaeology Institute had shown her glimpses of something greater in Earth's past, but without concrete proof, she remained silent. The assessment continued throughout the day. Council ships deployed scanning arrays across every continent, their energy signatures making the global power grid flicker. Elder Cathera's team documented everything. The experimental fusion plants in Nevada, the solar fields of the Sahara, the wind farms off the coast of Scotland. Notice how they still rely on external power sources, one junior council member remarked, their bioluminescent patterns flickering with mirth. No zero-point energy manipulation, not even basic quantum harvesting. Dr. Reynolds felt her hand tighten around her tablet. The radiation signatures she'd been tracking at ancient sites worldwide suggested otherwise, but the Council's dismissive attitude made it clear they weren't interested in Earth's mysteries. The final assessment meeting brought together world leaders, scientists, and council members in the UN's Grand Assembly. Holographic displays showed Earth's technical specifications, resource management, and development projections. Each point made the council members' bioluminescence pulse with increasing shades of condescension. After thorough evaluation, Elder Cathera announced, their multiple voices creating an echo that seemed to mock every human achievement. Earth will be classified as a Class 3 developing world. You may continue your attempts at advancement, but full council membership is centuries beyond your current capabilities. The chamber erupted in protests. Secretary General Rodriguez attempted to argue for a higher classification, citing Earth's rapid technological progress over the past century. The council members simply increased the volume of their harmonic speech, drowning out his words. We will establish a minimal observation post in your solar system, Elder Cathera continued, to monitor any significant developments, though we don't expect many. Their body pulsed with patterns that the translation software identified as patronizing amusement. As the council members began to depart, Dr. Reynolds slipped away from the chamber. Her laboratory had detected new energy spikes at several archaeological sites during the council's scans. Something about their technology had triggered a response in Earth's ancient places. She had work to do. The council's mockery of humanity would not stand unchallenged. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in places long forgotten, something was beginning to wake up. The real assessment was about to begin. The Quantum Archaeology Lab hummed with frustrated energy At 3 in the morning, Dr. Amanda Reynolds rubbed her eyes, staring at the holographic display where ancient Sanskrit text floated alongside modern sensor data. Something was hidden in these patterns, something the Council's arrogant assessment had missed entirely. "Run the comparison again," she told the lab's eye. "Focus on the energy signatures we recorded during the Council's scan of the Mohenjo-Daro site." The ancient Indian city had shown unusual readings for years, but the spike during the alien assessment had been unprecedented. The data streams merged, creating an intricate pattern that made her heart skip. The Sanskrit verses about celestial fire weren't metaphorical. They matched the quantum fluctuations they'd been recording perfectly. And not just there. "Cross-reference with other archaeological sites," she commanded, her fingers dancing across the haptic interface. Similar patterns emerged from locations worldwide. The pyramids of Giza, Göbekli Tepe, the Nazca Lines, even underwater formations off the coast of Japan. Her phone buzzed. Dr. James Martinez, her colleague studying the Nazca site, was calling. "Amanda, tell me you're seeing this." The ground it's like it's breathing. The Council ships passed over 6 hours ago, but the energy readings keep growing. "I see it, James." She pulled up his live feed. The desert floor was emitting a faint blue luminescence in a geometric pattern that matched nothing in their archaeological records. Their scan must have triggered something. Some kind of recognition response. The lab door hissed open as her research partner, Dr. Michael Chen, rushed in. "Amanda, the Sanskrit translation team just sent over a new analysis. These aren't just stories about the gods. They're technical manuals." She expanded the text, heart racing. The ancient words described energy systems far beyond current human understanding, or even the Council's. Zero-point energy manipulation, quantum field harmonics. This is impossible. These texts are over 4,000 years old. "Maybe that's not when they were written," Michael said quietly. "Maybe that's just when they were hidden." The implications hit her like a physical force. An advanced civilization, here on Earth, long before recorded history. One that had mastered energy technologies the Council thought were still centuries beyond human reach. Her team worked through the dawn, correlating data from sites across the globe. Each location showed signs of ancient power systems lying dormant beneath centuries of dust and stone. The Council's scans, designed to assess current technology, had inadvertently interfered with whatever shielding had hidden these sites for millennia. At 9 a.m., the lab's security system chimed. A Council observer had arrived. The Arxian floated into the lab, their bioluminescent patterns radiating smug authority. "Dr. Reynolds, we've detected unusual energy readings from several primitive historical sites. Your team will cease any investigation immediately." Amanda straightened, fighting back her exhaustion. "These primitive sites are showing evidence of advanced technology, Council member. Technology that predates your presence in this sector of space." Absurd. The Arxian's multiple voice boxes created a dismissive harmony. "Your species could barely make fire when we first charted this region." She projected the correlated data into the air between them. "Then explain these energy signatures. Explain these technical specifications in our ancient texts that your own science can barely match." The Arxian's bioluminescence flickered with what might have been uncertainty. "These are obviously errors in your primitive scanning equipment." A deep rumble cut through their words. The lab's sensors screamed as a massive energy spike erupted from the Giza Plateau. Similar readings began popping up across the globe. "No," Amanda said, a smile playing at her lips. "This is just the beginning. Earth has been hiding something, Council member. Something that's finally ready to wake up." Through the lab's windows, she could see the Council ships above New York banking sharply, their sensors suddenly active with urgent purpose. The hidden power of Earth's past was rising, and not even the Galactic Council could ignore it now. The Atacama Desert shimmered under the merciless noon sun as Elder Cathera's inspection team arrived at the Chilean power facility. Their crystalline forms cast rainbow refractions across the solar collection arrays, a display that would have been beautiful if not for their constant stream of condescension. Photovoltaic cells. How charmingly obsolete. The Elder's harmonious voice dripped with disdain. Your species still believes capturing sunlight is an efficient power source. Dr. Amanda Reynolds bit back a retort. Her focus split between the alien delegation and the unusual readings on her quantum scanner. The energy signatures she detected had grown stronger since the Council's arrival, pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the desert floor. If you'll follow me, she gestured toward the facility's main complex. We've recently upgraded our energy storage systems. Primitive chemical batteries, no doubt. Another council member interrupted, their bioluminescence flickering with amusement. The ground trembled almost imperceptibly. Her scanner's display spiked, numbers scrolling faster than she could read. Something was happening, something the council's presence had accelerated. Inside the control room, Dr. Martinez was already there, his face illuminated by multiple holographic displays. Amanda, these readings are off the charts. The energy signature matches what we found in the Sanskrit texts, but it's growing exponentially. Elder Cathera floated forward, their translucent forms suddenly rigid. What energy signature? Your facility's output is well within your species' limited. The floor shuddered again, stronger this time. Deep beneath the facility, a sound like an ancient bell began to resonate through the structure. Everyone out, Amanda shouted, but it was too late. The control room's displays exploded with light as something ancient and powerful surged to life beneath their feet. A beam of pure energy, golden and impossible, shot from the desert floor into the sky. The council members' bioluminescence dimmed in shock as their advanced technology suddenly failed. Their levitation fields collapsed, leaving them sprawled ungracefully on the floor. Through the window, Amanda watched in awe. As the council's ships lost power, their sleek forms dropping from the sky before emergency systems engaged, leaving them hovering weakly above the desert. What have you done? Elder Cathera's multiple voices cracked with fear and fury. This is impossible. Your species doesn't have this level of technology. We didn't do this, Dr. Martins said, his eyes fixed on his tablet, the only device still working. This power source, it's been here all along, waiting. The golden energy beam pulsed once more before condensing into a sphere that hung above the facility. Within its light, complex geometric patterns shifted and flowed, similar to the Council's technology, but far more advanced. Amanda's scanner finally decoded part of the energy signature. This is a node, she breathed, part of a larger network. The ancient texts were right. There was an advanced civilization here, long before recorded history. The council members huddled together, their usually pristine forms dulled without their technology. This cannot be, Elder Cathera insisted, but the harmony of their voices had been replaced by discord. We would have known. Our surveys. Your surveys found exactly what the builders wanted you to find. Amanda said, understanding dawning. Nothing. Until humanity was ready. The sphere pulsed again, and suddenly every screen in the facility lit up with scrolling symbols, the same ancient script from the Sanskrit texts, but now it was being translated in real time. It's a message, Dr. Martinez whispered. No, it's an activation sequence. Far above, the Council's ships finally regained power, but their superior technology now seemed far less impressive against the ancient golden light that had awakened in the desert. Elder Cathera's bioluminescence had shifted to a pattern that the translation software identified as fear. This changes nothing. Earth is still. Another pulse from the sphere cut them off, and in the distance, more golden beams began to rise from the desert floor. The first node had awakened its siblings, and Earth's true power was finally beginning to rise. News of the Atacama incident spread faster than the Council could contain it. Within hours, the golden energy sphere had become the most photographed object on Earth, its radiance visible from orbit. But it was only the beginning. Dr. Amanda Reynolds stood in the hastily assembled Global Response Center, watching as new reports flooded in from around the world. On the massive display wall, red dots marked each new activation. Stonehenge just came online. Dr. Martinez called out, his voice barely audible over the command center's chaos. The entire stone circle is hovering 3 feet off the ground, surrounded by the same golden energy field. Before Amanda could respond, another analyst shouted, "The pyramids are active. Energy readings are off the charts. They're generating some kind of harmonic frequency that's making our equipment go haywire." The Council's emergency response team hovered near the back of the room, their bioluminescent patterns showing clear signs of distress. Elder Cathera had been summoned back to their fleet, leaving junior members to monitor the escalating situation. Easter Island just lit up. Someone called. The display showed the famous stone heads now glowing with internal light, their eyes projecting beams of golden energy skyward. Ground-penetrating radar shows. By the stars, there's an entire complex down there. Amanda's quantum scanner beeped urgently. The energy signatures were all synchronized, pulsing in perfect harmony. They're communicating, she realized. The nodes are creating a network. Dr. Michael Chen burst into the room, clutching a tablet. "You need to see this. I've overlaid the activation points with historical ley line maps. The match is perfect, every single one." The display updated, showing lines of golden energy connecting the active sites. The pattern was beautiful and complex, like a web of light embracing the Earth. "Impossible," one of the Council members whispered, their translation device unable to hide their fear. "These energy pathways, they're more advanced than anything in known space." New activations continued. The ancient city of Petra began to hum with power, its rock-cut architecture revealing hidden technological marvels. Angkor Wat's temples released pulses of energy that formed complex three-dimensional mandalas in the sky. The Great Zimbabwe ruins emerged as a major power hub, its stone walls now thrumming with ancient energy. "The network is stabilizing," Amanda announced, studying the latest readings. "Each node is settling into a specific frequency. They're creating something, a global power grid unlike anything we've ever seen." Deep under the Pacific Ocean, another signal emerged. The recently discovered underwater ruins off Japan's coast had awakened, their true nature finally revealed. Ancient technology, hidden for millennia, rose from the depths. The Council members huddled together, their voices a discordant chorus. "This changes the balance of power. The High Council must be informed. Your world cannot be allowed to." They were interrupted by a new alert. The stone spheres of Costa Rica had activated, adding their power to the growing network. In the Sahara Desert, long-buried structures were rising from the sand, their surfaces covered in glowing symbols. "Look at this pattern," Dr. Chen said, his voice full of wonder. "The network, it's not just for power generation. These energy frequencies, the way they interact, it's like they're trying to access something even bigger." Amanda studied the data streams, her mind racing. The ancient builders hadn't just created a power grid, they'd built a key to something far more significant. But what were they trying to unlock? Above the Earth, the Council's fleet maintained their distance, their sensors overwhelmed by the scale of what was awakening. Their dismissive assessment of Earth as a primitive world now seemed like a cosmic joke. In the command center, Amanda watched as more sites activated, each one adding its voice to the growing chorus of power. Earth's ancient heart was awakening. and its song was about to change the galaxy forever. Jin Park hadn't slept in 36 hours, but his mind was racing faster than ever. The young programmer sat cross-legged in the Global Response Center, surrounded by holographic projections of cave paintings from around the world. While everyone else focused on the energy readings, something about these ancient images called to him. "There's a pattern here," he muttered, manipulating the images with gesture controls. "These aren't just art. They're too systematic." Dr. Amanda Reynolds noticed his intense focus. She'd brought Jin into the project 3 days ago after reading his controversial paper on visual programming languages. "What do you see, Jin?" He projected a cave painting from France's Lascaux caves alongside energy wave patterns from the active nodes. "Look at the way these animal figures are positioned. The spacing, the relationships, they match the network's command protocols exactly." Amanda's eyes widened. "You're saying these paintings are some kind of programming language?" "Not just programming. It's an interface." Jin's fingers flew over his keyboard, creating a digital recreation of the cave art. "The builders left us a manual hidden in plain sight. Every ancient cave painting site we found lines up with a power node." The Council's scientific observer floated closer, their bioluminescence pulsing with skepticism. "Impossible. No advanced civilization would use such a primitive method of data storage." Jin ignored them, his focus absolute. He modified his recreation, matching the proportions of a bison figure exactly. "Watch this." He executed the program. Across the room, the holographic display of the global network shifted, one node's energy frequency changing in response. The council members' luminescence dimmed in shock. "How did you?" "The paintings are both instructions and interface," Jin explained, his excitement building. "The animals, the shapes, the colors, they're all variables, parameters. The builders created a visual programming language that could survive millennia because it looked like art." Dr. Martinez burst into the room. "The node in Chill just changed its output pattern." "Did Sumyon?" "That was me," Jin said, already working on another pattern. "And if I'm right about this next sequence," he input the pattern from the cave of Altamira in Spain. The network responded immediately, multiple nodes shifting their energy distribution in perfect harmony. Amanda watched in awe as the network's power flow became more efficient, more controlled. They hid the user interface in our earliest art. All this time, we've been learning their programming language without knowing it. The council observer backed away, their communication device already active. The High Council must be informed. This level of cultural integration, of long-term planning. Jin barely noticed them leave. He was already deep in his analysis of Aboriginal rock art from Australia, matching their Dreamtime patterns to network commands. Each culture's art style seems to control different aspects of the system. The Australian patterns deal with power distribution, while Native American petroglyphs seem to handle node communication. "How did you see this when no one else did?" Amanda asked, watching him work. He smiled without looking up. "I've always seen code differently. Numbers, letters. They're just symbols we agree have meaning. Why not animals and ancient art? The builders must have known that art would be universal, that every culture would preserve their important images." Across the globe, the network continued to respond to Jin's commands, becoming more stable and controlled with each input. The ancient system had found its new programmer, and he spoke its language fluently. In orbit, the Council's ships recorded everything. Their previous dismissal of Earth's primitive art, now revealed as a colossal mistake. The builders had hidden their legacy in the one place the Council would never think to look. In the very beginning of human culture. Jin's fingers paused over his keyboard as a new pattern caught his eye. "Dr. Reynolds, I think I found something else. These patterns here, in the Shavat cave, they're not just commands. They're coordinates." "Coordinates to what?" His eyes gleamed with excitement. I think they're showing us where to find the control center, the heart of the entire network. The Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as the holographic display showed Earth's growing power network. The Grand Chamber, usually a model of advanced civilization's decorum, had devolved into competing choruses of multi-toned arguments. Elder Cathera's bioluminescence flashed with dangerous intensity. We cannot allow this technology to remain in human hands. They are children playing with starfire. Zixtal, the junior council member who had first noticed anomalies in Earth's assessment, moved to the center of the chamber. Their crystalline form reflected the light in subtle, authoritative patterns. The humans haven't destroyed anything yet. In fact, they've shown remarkable restraint and understanding. Restraint. Another elder scoffed, their voice harmonics crackling with disdain. They've activated a planetary network of unknown power without any safety protocols. On the main display, live feeds showed Dr. Amanda Reynolds and Jin Park working with the network interface. Jin's fingers danced over his console as he translated more cave art into network commands, each input making the system more stable, more controlled. Look at their method, Zixtal argued. They're not forcing the system, they're understanding it, learning its language. When was the last time any of us showed such patience with ancient technology? The chamber's atmosphere shifted as a new presence entered. High Commander Vexnor, leader of the Council's military arm, their crystalline form darker and more dense than their peers. The solution is clear. We must secure this technology for the greater good of the galaxy. You mean steal it? Zixtal said, their tone flat. We mean protect it. Thera's multiple voice boxes created a harsh chorus. These humans don't understand the forces they're dealing with. The Builders were the most advanced species we've ever encountered. Their technology could destroy the planet if mishandled. Back on Earth, unaware of the political storm breaking above them, the research team made another breakthrough. Jin's voice came through the Council's monitors. The control center coordinates. They're leading us to Antarctica. There's something under the ice. Commander Vexner's form pulsed with dark purpose. We must act now before they find it. I have a strike fleet standing by. No, Zixtal moved to block their path. Think about what we've seen. The Builders chose Earth for a reason. They hid their legacy in human art, human culture. They wanted the humans to find this. The Builders are long gone. Cthera dismissed. Their choices are irrelevant now. Are they? Zixtal projected their own data onto the chamber's displays. Look at the evidence. The network only responds to human commands. The interface was hidden in their earliest art. Every safety protocol is keyed to human biology. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. On the displays, the network continued to grow more stable as Jin decoded more interface commands. Each success proved Zixtal's point. I have my orders, Commander Vexnor said finally. The High Council has authorized Emergency Protocol 7. We will secure the network for the safety of all. You mean you'll start a war? Zixtal's voice carried through the chamber. One we might not win. Look at how quickly they've mastered the interface. What else don't we know about the network's capabilities? But the commander was already gone, their form dissolving into transport energy. Thera and their supporters followed, leaving Zixtal alone with the moderate faction. Warn them. An elder of the moderate faction said softly, You were right about the humans before. Perhaps you're right about this too. Zixtal's form shifted into emergency transport configuration. They could only hope they would reach Earth in time. The political storm had broken, and its lightning was about to strike the planet below. The Antarctic Research Station shook as the first Council warships dropped out of hyperspace. Their dark crystal hulls blotted out the perpetual summer sun, casting long shadows across the ice field where the research team had found the network's control center. "They're coming in hot," Dr. Martinez called out, his eyes fixed on the radar display. "Multiple strike craft, heavy energy signatures. They're not here to talk." Dr. Amanda Reynolds looked up from where she and Jin were working at the ancient interface they'd uncovered beneath the ice. The control center was a massive chamber of crystalline architecture, its walls covered in the same patterns they'd found in cave art around the world. "How much time?" she asked, watching Jin's fingers fly over his adapted interface. 2 minutes, maybe less," Martins replied. "Wait, something's coming through their comm channel." Zixtel's voice filled the chamber, urgent and strained. "Dr. Reynolds, you must listen. Commander Vexner's fleet has orders to seize the network by force. They don't understand what they're dealing with." Above them, the first energy blasts from the Council ships struck the ice, vaporizing tons of ancient glacier in seconds. The chamber trembled, but the crystal walls held firm. "Jin." Amanda turned to the young programmer, who hadn't stopped working. "Almost there," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "These last symbols, they're not just commands. They're a key. The builders left us a message, and it's about to play." The chamber hummed to life as Jin input the final sequence. Golden energy began to flow through the crystal walls, following patterns that matched the cave art they'd studied. But this time, the energy formed words in every human language simultaneously. "To our children," the message began, its words echoing with power. "If you are reading this, you have proven yourselves ready." Another blast rocked the station. Commander Vexner's voice boomed through the air. "Surrender the facility. This technology is too dangerous for." The commander's words cut off as golden energy fields sprang up around every council ship, holding them in place. The network had activated its defense systems, but not in the way anyone expected. "We were not the first," the builder's message continued. "And you will not be the last. Each civilization must choose. Will they rise through force or through understanding? We chose to guide rather than control, to build rather than destroy." The crystal walls pulsed with light, and suddenly the chamber was filled with holographic images. The builders themselves, a species that had evolved beyond physical form. They had left their legacy not to the most powerful species, but to those who could best carry their philosophy forward. "Your art showed us your soul," the message said. "In your earliest days, when you first made marks on cave walls, we saw not just creation, but understanding. You sought to comprehend your world through beauty, through symbols, through meaning. This was the test. This was always the test." Outside, the council ships hung helpless in their golden fields. The network wasn't a weapon or a power source. It was a teaching tool, a test of character for the species that would find it. "The network is keyed to your DNA," Jin read from his display. "Understanding dawning. Not because we're special, but because we proved ourselves through how we approached it. Through art, through learning, through cooperation." Commander Vexner's fleet could only watch as the network's true purpose was revealed. Their weapons, their force, their technology, all useless against a system designed to respond only to those who sought to understand rather than dominate. Amanda looked up at the suspended ships, then at the message still flowing through the chamber. "They've been watching us all along, haven't they? Testing us. And today, when we chose to learn instead of attack, we passed the test," Jin finished, as the chamber filled with new light, and the next phase of the builder's legacy began to unfold. 1 month after the Antarctic revelation, the great chamber of the Galactic Council looked very different. The crystal architecture remained the same, but the power dynamic had shifted dramatically. Earth's representatives now held seats of honor, and the builder's message had been carved into the very walls. Dr. Amanda Reynolds stood before the assembled species, her voice carrying through the vast space. The network was never about power. It was about potential. The builders saw something in us that we're only now beginning to understand. Behind her, Jin Park demonstrated the interface he'd created, now refined and elegant. The network's golden energy flowed in beautiful patterns, responding to commands derived from human art and culture. Each movement told a story of cooperation between technology and understanding. "We've decoded only a fraction of the builder's knowledge," she continued. "But what we found has already changed everything we thought we knew about energy, space, and consciousness itself." Elder Cathera, now serving in an advisory role after the recent political upheaval, shifted their crystalline form in acknowledgement. "We were blind to the truth. We measured advancement by technology alone, never considering that true progress might be found in the balance between science and soul." The chamber's displays showed images from around Earth, the Great Pyramids now serving as clean energy distributors, Stonehenge operating as a consciousness research center, the Easter Island statues hosting a new type of quantum communication array. Each site had been awakened not just as a power source, but as a teaching center. Zixtel, recently promoted to head of the Council's new Cultural Integration Department, moved forward. "The builders left us more than technology. They left us a new way of seeing. Every cave painting, every ancient carving, they're all parts of a greater language we're only beginning to learn." Commander Vexner's replacement, a more diplomatic leader named Lysara, added their voice. "The military division has been reorganized. Our focus now is protection and understanding, not domination. Earth has shown us a better way." In the month since the revelation, everything had changed. The Council's rigid hierarchy had given way to a more collaborative structure. Species once dismissed as primitive were being reevaluated. Art and cultural artifacts from across the galaxy were being studied with new eyes. "But the greatest discovery," Amanda said, gesturing to a new display, "was found last week. The builders left more than one network. Earth's is just the first to activate. There are others, waiting for the right civilizations to prove themselves ready." The display showed a map of the galaxy, with points of light indicating potential networks. Each one, they now knew, was keyed to a different species' unique characteristics. Earth had unlocked its legacy through art and understanding. Others might find their path through different aspects of their culture. Jin stepped forward, his interface glowing. "We're not just learning to use the network, we're learning to think in new ways. Every culture, every species has something to teach." The builders knew that unity would come not through force, but through shared understanding. The chamber's atmosphere shifted as a new hologram appeared. Another message from the builders, recently discovered. "To those who have passed the first test, you are not masters now, but students. Your journey is just beginning. Look to the stars, to each other, and most importantly, to the beauty that lives in all things." Earth's status had changed forever, not through military might or technological superiority, but through the very things the Council had once dismissed: art, culture, and the desire to understand rather than control. As the session ended, Amanda looked out at the assembled representatives of 100 worlds. "We don't know what challenges lie ahead," she said, "but we know this. The future belongs not to those who seek to dominate it, but to those who seek to understand it, together." Above Earth, the network pulsed with golden light, its power now a symbol not of dominance, but of potential. Humanity had found its place among the stars, and the new dawn was just beginning.